Hello, welcome back to YCHYFUS. Well, it's not a podcast anymore, is it? It's a YouTube. I still don't know what to call these things. I don't like. Anyway, it's this YCHYFUS. Hello, and it is I, Clive Davis, as usual, with him over there,
Mr. Darren Jones, yeah?
and we have a special guest. Well, to be fair, he's been about now. He's not so special anymore. Let's say tired and tatty guest. Introduce
A
yourself.
bit tarnished. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is me, Nick.
There we go. Worth waiting for, I think, after all that build-up. That was a hell of an intro. So this time we are talking some bronze men. This is something. Actually, I seem to remember originally we were going to do a bronze men bonanza a long time ago.
Yeah, we did.
We're going to try and track down every bronze men film, which I think might have been slightly over-ambitious. Maybe it's better to break it down like this, I think.
Yeah, we call that the Sisyphus project.
Yes.
Well, so how many other films feature like bronze men or bronze men adjacent?
5,000.
Really?
Oh, I don't. I love how credulous Nick was then. Oh, you don't say an entire subgenre.
There's got to be 30 plus films of bronze men in, I would say.
Oh,
wow.
I was trying to think off the top of my head, I can only think of maybe half a dozen, but you might be right. If you went digging around, I'm sure there's more.
Would we consider like the silver and gold painted guys in the rubber tie?
Yeah, bronze men.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But because what was that? What was that when we watched? Fucking hell. Oh, well, there's bronze men at the end, but all they do is hold the man's fucking robe.
Oh yeah, we did it before, didn't we? And they were
What was
covered
that
in
one?
gravy browning, so they were
That's the
woodland
one.
men, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. No, because there were the gravy browning wooden men, and then there were actual bronze men, but the
that's
bronze
right.
men didn't actually do anything.
And our favourite, of course,
What the
I
fuck was
remember
that?
one of your pound stretcher finds back in the day was 18 Bronze Girls of Shaolin.
Classic.
Which has bronze women hurling themselves at a large bell.
Yeah.
To make it dong.
Are they topless?
Bikinis,
You went
generally, I
straight
think.
there, didn't you, Nick?
Okay.
Yeah.
You went direct.
Well, no.
Tell me, salivating.
I was going to download it immediately if I could find it.
I can't remember. I don't think they were. I don't think they were topless, but we would have remembered that.
No, no, they're bikinis. So, or rather than bikinis, I think they're like sashes. Like they got just like a bandage, gold bandage across, and then they're spray painted with the stuff.
And then the other one that I think of, there's one of those Korean kung fu films that was retitled like one of the Dragoneer series or something that got bronze people in. And then I can't remember what they were though, but so here in Japan where bronze men was quite a big hit, which we'll get to in a little bit, I remember seeing the VHS series around, and there's 4 of them. So obviously there's the 2 we're going to talk about today, and then there's another 2 that were kind of added to make a fake series, but I can't remember what the other 2 were. I have a feeling, is there at least one other Joseph Kor one, which is bronzy?
A what? Another what?
Is there another Joseph Kor one that's a bit...
Well, think back to...
Brush.
Yeah, well, think back to Unbeaten 28.
Right, maybe that's what.
So that's got... They're kind of more stone men. But
I know, those are stone men, yeah.
Yeah, but see, I would put them in the bronze men bracket.
Bronze adjacent.
Yeah. Bronze enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, bronze ass pussy. Yeah.
But today we are talking 18 Bronze Men and its proper direct sequel, Return of the 18 Bronze Men. 18 Bronze Men from 1975, Taiwanese production from Joseph Kor and his Honghua production company.
I have to say, I have a message. Sorry to interrupt you. I have a message to Who put this out? Eureka, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, whoever put the recent Blu-ray out, I think it was Eureka. In the Japanese cut, there was no Honghua ID at the start of it. And it's very important to have the Honghua ID at the start of every Joseph Kuo films.
Do. They're feeling told right about now.
Yep.
They're probably crying a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know, it's not it's.
I'll make this clickbaity when I put it up. I'll put the headline: Darren slams Eureka.
Yeah, do that. See what happens. Yeah. No, it's not proper Joseph Kuo. It's not proper Joseph Kuo experience if you don't have the little globe going around the H in Honghua Productions. I bet you don't know what the fuck we're talking about, Nick, do you?
Oh no, I did, because I did see two different versions of it.
Oh, you did see?
I did see the proper. Yeah, I did see the proper title card. And
oh, sorry. Okay.
So Eureka Films have put this out recently on Blu-ray, and they've done something actually, despite Darren's little niggle. Other than that, they've done a very good job, because basically the original Hong Kong cut of the film was kind of missing in action for a while, apart from in some territories. I think it was the Germans who had it, right?
Yeah.
Because they seem to have a pretty good history of preserving their foo over the years. There's a lot of the recent Blu-ray archival releases seem to be sourced from German versions of these films, don't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, so now they've kind of reconstructed. So basically what happened was the film was released in Hong Kong, and then when it was released in Japan, they cut some stuff out and then added about 20 minutes to the front of the film.
Here's the question: Who is they? Who is they?
I'm not sure. I think it was Joseph Kuo himself.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. According to the commentary, it's Joseph Kuo. So Joseph Kuo went over there as part of the kind of sales expedition, and then as a condition of selling it, he had to come up with more footage, which he did, because there's some outtakes in there that aren't anywhere else other than Japanese cut. But also he inserted some other stuff from some of his other films.
Sales expedition does sound like he went in his pith helmet.
Yeah, I'm not going to run away from that.
And yeah, well, it's interesting. So that first 20 minutes basically serves to give backstory to the three main characters. But like you said, it's actually lifted footage from Blazing Temple, Unbeaten 28, and The Eight Masters, right?
Yeah.
But are you saying there was some additional stuff shot as well that isn't?
No, I think it was outtakes, because the Chang'e scene isn't anywhere.
No, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, because that's one of the. I don't know if that's solved in it, but that still remains a little bit of a mystery to me, credit-wise. I'm trying to figure out exactly. But we'll get to that, because that's one of the minor differences. Let's put it that way. But the major difference between the two versions is you have this 20 minutes of footage from elsewhere giving backstory to the main characters, and then the film starts as usual, and then there's stuff missing later on that basically shortens it, right? But doesn't make that much difference to the way the story rolls out, I don't think.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
I found the Japanese recut or whatever it's called much, and I watched the second, and I was like, I would be very confused if I was watching this first. I found it much easier to follow in its Hong Kong cut. I thought the 20 minutes of like different kids who are they the same? Are they supposed to be both playing the same character, or is one of them supposed to be Carter Wong's character and the other one's supposed to be Chen? Like, anyway, I thought it added nothing at all. And the
Oh, come on.
cuts
Come on. A little cute kid jumping over a tree every morning.
Okay, fine. And okay, and the kid's sitting in the pan full of burning ashes or whatever it was. You know, sure.
Well, that's late stage Quo getting in there, isn't it? That's like.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not cover Unbeaten 28? I think we've done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That seemed very familiar to me from more recent. But I will get ahead of this as well, and I actually agree with you for different reasons. But I agree with you that the Hong Kong cut is a much better film, and I really like what Eureka's done here, because usually when they do these reconstructed things, you have the nice HD glass print, and then when they have the lesser source, it just crashes into it, right? It just which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I've not seen this before. Eureka have gone one step further, haven't they? Where they've done this kind of transition thing where it kind of morphs into the other footage and then back again, and it's really smooth. Like, it adds something. Like, you can still see that it's changing quality, but I've not seen that done before, that level of care where they've kind of
well, that's the thing, because I was in a rush to watch the Hong Kong cut, which I only did today and yesterday. And I was kind of half watching it, just waiting for it to go 4:3, or waiting for the quality to change, or for them to have to speak with different voices. And I realized really early on I couldn't do that, because when it goes wide format to different wide format, it's very hard to tell the join, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I actually, by the way, disagree with you. I prefer the Japanese cut.
Really? Okay. Fascinating.
Well, I think
let's get to that.
Do that is to do the plot synopsis, and let's stick to the Hong Kong cut for now, because that's as was planned, and then when we're done, we can talk about the differences, right? So, yes, plot synopsis is basically a little old lady takes her grandson to. This is how the original Hong Kong cut starts. Without any preamble, takes her son to the Shaolin Temple because he's the next in. It's a evil Qing film, right? So, and the Shaolin are known rebels. So basically, he's hiding out in the Shaolin Temple, and he's going to be trained in Shaolin ways. And
I do have a quick question, because you've seen a lot more of these than I have. Is there a guy who works at the Shaolin Temple whose job it is just to process the 20-odd babies dropped off every day?
Yeah, they have a creche.
Okay. Because
filled with those coloured balls.
It certainly seems like a lot of babies get dropped off at Shaolin temples in a lot of different films.
Well, I'm just saying that's not Shaolin's fault, is it? No. I mean, if we didn't have generals being massacred right, left, and centre who happened to have fathered children who were going to take revenge, then we wouldn't have this problem, and neither would Shaolin.
Nice to see a glimpse there as well into Nick working out his new stand-up material for his observational comedy. Hey, what about them Shaolin temples, huh? How many kids are dropped off? You know what I'm saying?
I think that was very well observed by Owen.
Yeah, it was hilarious. So there's that, and this little lad grows up to be Rock Tien. And Rock Tien has a very good friend at the temple, as played by Chang Nan, right? Is the other the crap friend, the one who's not really very
he's shit. Yeah, he's shit.
The one we don't believe has been through the chambers when he turned. Immediately alarm bells go off. Right? You're like, no, you didn't.
Yes.
So there's
hang on. I just thought of something. So Chang Nan's character right? For a golden child reference, right? Right, wait for it. Right, get ready. Right?
Yeah.
You have to see the golden child to get this joke, and it is hilarious.
I haven't seen. Does it work if I haven't seen Golden Child in like 30 years?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Probably not. And,
Unless you
maybe I'll
mention
do
a
that.
dancing Coke can or
No.
Charlotte Lewis in a see-through wet dress, I'm probably not going to remember.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
Charles
shirt,
Dance.
by the way. Yeah. So yeah, it relates to Charles Dance. So what Chang Nan's character is called? Brother Numpty.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
See, in the Golden Child, see, there's the Charles Dance's character is called Brother Numpsy.
Have you by
Brother
any
Numpty.
chance seen The Golden Child recently, Darren?
Yeah, I watched it during lockdown as a bit of nostalgia,
How did
which
it
is the
stand
only
out?
reason I remember that. Eddie Murphy's funny, but Eddie Murphy's always funny in that period. And
apart from when he was doing
yes.
AIDS jokes, that was less funny, right?
Well, it was, but then so was everyone. So it was one of those things.
But they were in Hong Kong. Eddie Murphy would have stormed it in Hong Kong with his
fucking hell. That's a good point. Actually, that's a really good point, isn't it? He could have replaced Yun Biao in Don't Give a Damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. No, it stands up slightly less well than I thought it would. But it's still it's in that kind of sweet spot in the 80s where everything had money thrown at it and it had decent looking stuff and they could just make up any fantasy shit they wanted. So, and Eddie Murphy's quite funny.
Charles Dance was in it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Charlotte Lewis stuff still held up.
It did, yeah.
Yes. You could imagine what it was like to be Roman Polanski for a film.
So anyway.
back to the 18 Bronzemen then.
Yeah, so we should mention as well that the big bad on the outside is played by Yi Wan, right? He's the evil guy who tries to so this is another difference we'll notice later on as well, is while Rock-Taen's at the temple, some kind of assassins try and attack him several times, right? Which makes ninja-like, yeah. That's those bits have oddly been removed from the right, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
And that sets off. So their classmate, Rock-Taen and Chang Nan's classmate, is Carter Unstoppable Sex Machine Wong, right? And please tell. I was hoping we could get a hit across the board here. Did you happen to watch 18 Bronzemen with your missus, Nick?
No, sadly. I watched the two films we're going to talk about in a different show with her, but not.
I was hoping that your missus would also get the hots for Carter Wong, and then we'd have.
Yeah, we could get three of a kind.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll make her watch it. He's pretty terrifying. He's a furious looking guy, and the few films I've now seen, he's always, just simmering.
Slightly more suave in a. Yeah, actually, this might not be the film to.
By the end of it, he looked like Hando. He looked like Hando out of fucking Romper Stomper by the end, with his shaved head,
yeah.
swastika, like double dragon tattoo, and just boiling with sweaty hate. Yeah, I have to say, although I have seen Big Trouble in Little China many times, he wasn't somehow on my radar as much as he should have been, but he certainly
because he's not really in Big Trouble in Little China. He wears a hat.
Right.
Well,
and looks a bit angry.
And explodes.
Oh yeah, he explodes.
And
That's right.
Explode.
Yeah.
It's all that rage built up after all those years.
That's it. Yeah.
But he's fantastic. I mean, he to me, he completely steals this film.
Yeah. Oh, you want to get on Born Invincible then?
Okay.
That's him as a villain, and that's that's one of our favorites is Born Invincible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, and of course, the thing with the Shaolin Temple is, in order to leave the Shaolin Temple, it depends on the film you're watching, I suppose. I've seen plenty of films where people just seem to wander out and go, see you later then. But according to the law of this film, the only way you can leave Shaolin Temple is if you go through the chambers, right?
Mm-hmm.
In where like
And this is made before Shaw's 36 Chambers, right? A couple of years before.
Yeah, but at the same but about the same time as Shaolin Temple.
Oh, okay.
Which is very similar, even down to cadets sitting outside in the rain.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no, something in the well, this is the thing I've never really been able to get to the bottom of, and I've looked it up. It's kind of like the whole hopping vampire thing is a bit of a mystery as well. As where did this bronze men thing come from? Like, is there any glimmer of some historical, or is it just someone just came up with it and then all these other films copied it because it is a super cool idea, right? It does seem it must have something. It must have some really small connection to reality somewhere.
Well, it's kind of in the, I don't know what you call it, history or folklore, but it's in the kind of the canon of the legend of Shaolin. So it probably goes back like a couple of 100 years, but no one seems to know what the wooden men did or what the bronze men did.
Well, that's the thing, is the connection between the wooden men and the wooden men. We kind of, it's easy to understand. It's a training device, and they were called. And then at some point, someone must have thought, well, how about bronze men? Oh, and the thing is as well, I'm not exactly sure if it translates, because they could also be golden men. It's not necessarily bronze, right? But then I suppose retroactively, how far back are you going to take it? Like,
but also I can't remember if I heard this on the commentary or I read it in an article somewhere, but there is a theory that the bronze or the gold or the wood is what's the word I'm looking for? What am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Is not literal. So it could be like a class of monk, so you're the bronze monks because you know these techniques.
Most likely, I think, isn't it?
You'd think so, yeah.
But the thing is, even within the films, even within this film, like a bronze man could be a robot, some kind of
straight out of Doctor Who.
Someone just painted.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, right, is yes, okay, because this film's not consistent, is it, in terms of what the bronze men are, right?
No.
And maybe this is an well, we're going to get into more bronze men down the line, right? But if the Shaolin bronze men, in whatever iteration we're talking about, right? But what I'm talking about is the painted ones, not the armored up ones, right? If they're just men painted gold, right, then they shouldn't make the clinking noise when they're punched.
Yes.
Right? But
I don't think they're supposed to be made from bronze, right?
Well, I've never worked this out. But if they were made from bronze, but if they weren't made from bronze, they wouldn't clink.
Yeah, they do make that thunking metallic sound.
Yeah, so my view on the bronze men, and I've just got this from, this is just my interpretation over the years, in each of the bronze men film I've seen, is these are actually animated robotic statues, not men painted bronze. So when I see a bronze man on screen, I am working on the assumption that they are not human beings, but they are like machines or like golems or something.
Automatons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so is the stages and the huge clunky ones are just the prototype, and then they streamlined it towards the more realistic looking.
Yeah, they went from the clunky Cybermen to the more svelte Cybermen of later era.
Yeah. Or like the Flash Gordon robot versus like the Terminator robot that can turn into a liquid.
Yes, the T-1000.
Right.
Yeah.
They also proved that yes, it's not true, a la Shirley Eaton, that if you paint someone gold, they die.
Yes. Well,
which most people kind of knew anyway, right?
Come to think of it, bronze finger sounds like something foul.
I'm sure there's a Italian rip-off bronze finger
Yeah.
XXL or something like that. Or
Yes,
What about gravy browning finger?
Well, that's what I'm thinking with bronze finger.
We've
man.
We've all been
with
there.
the gravy browning touch.
We've all been there. We've all been on the throne, and the toilet paper has failed. Bronze finger.
Bronze finger. Anyhow,
thing is though, how many of us, while sitting there in the toilet when that happens, immediately burst out into wow wow?
Well, none of us
From
before
now
this,
on.
Yes,
but all of us after.
Yes, yes. So now if you hear that sound from a toilet somewhere, you know something has gone wrong. Anyway,
all right. So they got to fight their way out through, through the chambers and then through the lines of Bronzemen.
yeah. So and yeah. So this is basically what this film is built around, right? Is this especially
Not so much as part 2, where they realized, ooh, people really want to see that. Let's expand that out to almost the entire feature. But it's actually not that much of this film, comparatively speaking. It's like 20 minutes, maybe.
Well,
as opposed to like an hour and a bit.
If you include the kind of training and
okay, sure,
taking a run at it and doing it again and stuff, it is quite a lot of the running time if you think about it. And in the past, so this is the reason I prefer the Hong Kong cut of the film as well, is in the past watching this film in the Japanese recut, I've always thought it's very much a game of two halves, right? Where that bit is really absorbing, and then once they get out the temple, I don't really care so much. Like,
okay,
that's the same. That's a symptom of every single Shaolin film, right?
Yeah, but for some reason, for me, in the Hong Kong cut, it works better as the overall revenge narrative, I thought, smoothed over the cracks. So it wasn't necessarily a dip in quality.
Threaded much better to my mind in terms of like we have a much better sense of who the villain is.
Yeah.
We have the scenes of him being attacked in the Shaolin Temple, so we kind of know what the stakes are.
Right.
And it all just made sense to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I found the back half pretty absorbing.
Me too. This time watching the Hong Kong cut,
watching it the second time, I was like, I found it less absorbing because it was front loaded with all of these scenes from
well, that's exactly the experience
stuff.
That's exactly the experience I had, because reading back on my old review, that's what I thought was it kind of lost me a little bit once they went outside the temple, but not in the Hong Kong cut, which is one of the reasons I prefer it now, because I think it works as a piece, as a film, better for me.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, Joseph Koh's always been good at this anyway, right? But in the Hong Kong cut, you've got 5 minutes before you get into the training scenes, right? You've got 5 minutes set up, and then you're into the training scenes. And when there's not training scenes, it's Bronzemen stuff, traps and all that stuff. And then it's straight into Pon Shan Quan Assassins sedan chair finale.
Mm-hmm.
Weird fucking lion thing that doesn't
fucking
show up any. Yeah.
Well, that's the other good thing about 18 Bronzemen is for old school kung fu fans who love the training scene montage, is that it's training scenes extended, right? There's a lot of training scenes. Until you get in the second half, it's mostly training scenes, right, rather than fights exactly. But yes, let's talk about, because some people might not see. Let's talk about Bronzemen, because this is what it's all about, right? So the main thing about the chambers they fight through is they come across, as you said, these automatons of varying types, including these super cool, like big, clunky, I assume men in like cardboard suits painted bronze or something, but they're really well done. Like,
Yeah.
actually, overall, I would say the sets and the production design in this film are excellent.
Yes.
There's nothing tatty about this film.
No. I do
No,
like
and
that the
it's-
bronze men have the red dots on them showing you where their pressure points are, which is useful.
Yes. But it's funny, it's like there's just something so straight out of like an old serial or something, but amped up, right? There's something about, you know, men in small corridors fighting robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just, and booby traps as well, which is just, it's like, it's one of the perfect cinematic ideals, isn't it? The concept of the chamber with bronze men.
Yeah.
It's
And there's this whole
there with closing wall of spikes, which we also get, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
Not in one of the versions, right? But
no.
But no, I was just curious, because was this your first time watching a Chambers Bronze Men film, Nick?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and was this was it like, where have you been all my life?
Tons of fun. Yeah,
Right,
it was absolutely entertaining on every level.
Good, just checking.
Yep.
If you'd have said otherwise, you'd have been booted off the show, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So so I don't know. It's difficult to. I don't want to belabor the point, but at the same time, I kind of almost. I don't know. I don't want to just pass over the bronze men because it's what the whole film is about. But I'm struggling to say, because it's just it's so cool. It just speaks for itself. I don't really know if there's much more to say, but I don't want to just say, oh, there's some bronze men, because do you know what I mean? Anyone have any bronze?
I do also like the fact that and even more so in the second film, like there's this they fail to get through the first time, right? And in the second film, he fails like twice.
Yeah.
So there's this idea that it's not a given that they're going to be able to get out or even survive. That clearly people die attempting to face down the bronze men and leave the temple. And so yeah, it's but also it didn't feel repetitive.
No.
You know, even though they're doing the same thing twice, and I was even more impressed in a way by Bronze Men 2 by the fact that they came back to it. You know, it never felt, oh, we're seeing the same thing again. They made it new every time.
Yeah. It helps that they cut between. You don't see each person do each chamber as well. Sometimes you just see one person fail at it and then another person. But no, but it's just glorious, really, isn't it? I mean, it's what the film hinges on. But yes, I suppose they do get out the other side at the end, and yes,
well, two of our three, as I said, not tatchy,
crappy or whatever.
Not numpty. Yes,
Rather numpty.
Rather numpty,
yeah. There we go. A hilarious Charles Dance reference there.
I'm fucking telling you, that's hilarious. Someone's gonna watch this and will have intimate knowledge, or at least have recently watched The Golden Child, and will be rolling in the aisles.
You may have given someone a coronary.
That's how I'd like to go.
Right.
Laughing at my own jokes.
That's how you will go. We may all go.
Times than funny.
We might all die at the same time on this.
And
still,
I did also like that Carter Wong kind of like he plays the hard ass, right? Because at the beginning I mistook him for a teacher because he's so like you're weak, you know, like you need to get your shit together, and then you realize no, he's just a student who's very committed, very hardline, and then as we discover later in the film, there are reasons why he's so hard on our hero.
Right. So yeah. So once out the other side, Rock Chen discovers that his grandmother's dead, and he finds out a little bit about his Ming past, right? That his father was a Ming general and all that, and that's why they're trying to kill him, because I guess he would be someone who would be a threat to the Qing dynasty.
Correct. Clearly.
Yeah. And And then he bumps into the very rude Polly Shan Kwan, who I'm not dining with. She's a fucking nightmare in inns, that girl is.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Complains.
she throws. Well, yeah, she throws wine and peanuts too.
And peanuts
Yeah.
in the original, in the Hong Kong cut.
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
Slightly
yeah.
nicer in the other. Well, it's funny as well. So we should mention as well that, of course, she's a man, right? That's everyone thinks she's a
Yes.
that thing again. That kind of everyone.
Trope.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting about it, well, kind of disappointing in a way, is so spoilers. Eventually, Rock-Ten figures out not only is she a girl, but she is also carrying the other half of a amulet, and she is his betrothed, right? And the thing with that scene is like, so before that, she's like this character with serious attitude, right? And she's fighting left, right, and center, whatever. And then immediately when she discovers the man who's supposed to be her husband, she like goes like that. She turns into this simpering kind of like yeah, that was kind of, I don't know, a bit of a shame, I suppose. It was just noticeable that it's just like that. It's just like turns it on like, oh, finally now I can fulfill my role in life of not asserting myself and following someone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she cuts the mustard, in the fight with the assassin later on. Yeah, she's cutting the mustard with a little metal fan, and she's kicking the shit out of him and doing all sorts. But yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's like that. Trope from the 80s and 90s, isn't it? Where the nerdy girl takes her glasses off and shakes her hair, and then all of a sudden she's a different fucking person. And that's essentially what they do to Polly Shan Kwan, isn't it?
Or what George Lucas had to think for this, right? In Indiana Jones, or the first one, right, where he takes Marion from being an independent, strong business owner who wears pants and slowly transforms her into completely helpless, needing to like defend herself with frying pans, and finally, like, she's in a dress, terrorized by snakes.
A frying pan is a woman's tool.
Well, there you go. See, so George would have us believe. So yeah, kind of not. But she does. I mean, she still acquits herself well in the final fight scene. It's not like she's completely useless the rest of the film.
No. But it's just that scene was just not.
That scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
The screeching of the gears is pretty awesome.
And so eventually they do team up to take on Yi-Wan, and there's a cool bit where Huang Fei Lung, who's one of the choreographers on this film as well, he turns up as like, not only is he a stand-in for the Yi-Wan character, but they all have clones as well, and I'd forgotten about that.
Oh yeah. It's like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. I thought that was
his six
I didn't think of that. That's a good one. Yeah,
that was quite cool, that bit. I like that bit.
I like that bit too. That was exciting.
With the oil fields on fire behind them as well. It was very provocative. The one, speaking of gripe, the one not gripe, because I thought it was kind of funny, but as almost in the Hong Kong cut, as almost a flawless kind of totally absorbing action adventure, there is one bit that jumped out at me as like being shoehorned in, which is towards, because they've obviously we need to foreshadow this a little bit, because otherwise people are going to just say what the fuck, which actually I'm surprised sometimes in Hong Kong films and Taiwanese films they don't even bother with that, right? Something just comes out of nowhere. But there's a bit where Carter Wong's sitting at like a table or something, and and he has like a little
the fucking
golden dragon head.
And the waiter like goes to touch it and it bites him. And that's all you get. And then later he uses it in the final fight to clamp onto it. I thought that was slightly shoehorned.
They could have had a fucking 1.5 minute scene the Shaolin abbot giving this fucking gadget to Carter Wong, right?
Yes.
Saying, see this snappy knife thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can defeat the general.
Yeah, or just
like
or just like a nice Christmas present or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's just fucking out of nowhere, isn't it? But also, it's like, although the trials of Shaolin are full of gadgets, right? The monks just fight with sticks and swords and spears and shit, right? So it's not like there's a history of weaponry gadgets in Shaolin. It's just like bog standard stuff. So
yeah, because I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, other than something that clamps onto a sword in the final. Like, what is it? Is it a paperweight, or why is he carrying it about?
Yeah, and also, why does it need to be made out of what looks like fucking solid gold?
Solid gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit of those things that like we used to have in classrooms in Japan. They were like little crocodiles or alligators, and you push the teeth down.
Oh yeah, I know one of them. Yeah,
they snap close on your hand.
Yes. It's
but
like,
I really
like the Hungry Hippos kind of same idea, right? Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I liked, and this is one place where I will give a nod towards the Japanese version, by bringing me back to the dong grab training scene, where they're attacking that woodman, and then his teeth just falls out, and they grab it. By actually cutting back to that for a split second, it made me realize, because I somehow didn't notice in the Hong Kong, the first time I watched the Hong Kong version, that they do grab his dick.
Yes, I
think that's in both. That's in both.
Yeah.
The flashback to them, to the previous.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. I didn't notice it. Funnily enough, I just saw them.
We'll put a link actually to the moviecensorship.com page on 80 Bronzemen, because if you really want to know all the specific little differences, which we're not going to go through, that's the place to. So obviously we're all agreed that 18 Bronzemen is a great film.
Yeah.
Right? And and even though you might prefer the Japanese cut down, and you do like the original version.
It was absolutely not the chore to watch both versions inside of a week or so.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit then. So other than we can talk credits. Let's do credits first then, and then we can talk about. So yeah, I mentioned Huang Fei Lung, who turns up being one of the choreographers. He's also the director of such things as Crazy Guy with Super Kung Fu and Deadly Strike. And then the other two choreographers, you got Chan Siu Pang.
Good pedigree.
Good
pedigree on Chan Siu Pang.
Yes, Chan Siu Pang. And so Chan Siu Pang later went on to direct a whole bunch of interesting films. Invisible Terrorist, Best of Shaolin Kung Fu, Shaolin Death Squad, The Magnificent, all with Carter Wong. And then Cliff Locke, who also did choreography and some of the and appeared in some of those same films, right?
Yeah. As the young people these days say, I was today years old when I found out that Cliff Locke just was basically Chan Siu Pang's kind of choreography assistant or apprentice.
Right.
For a whole host of films.
Right. Yeah, no,
I don't know why that surprised me, but it did.
Yeah, I think as well. The first time I saw the Bronzemen films, I had yet to discover the joys of Cliff Locke. So I probably hadn't really realized that Cliff Locke was an integral part of this whole thing. Kind of interesting that he's not in it, like even in a small bit or anything. You'd think they could have had him as a monk. Chief Abbot, as played by Ko Yu Min. That's about all I've got in terms of.
Now
one of the screenwriters, Chang Shin Hee. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm I got confused. Chang Shin-hee is the guy who made oh no, Chang Shin-hee is the guy who directed Snaky, Night Fist Against Mantis, Lady Constables, Incredible Kung Fu Mission.
Mm.
Yeah, so he's got some interesting and Thrilling Bloody Sword.
Yes.
Which watch this space that's coming.
That's definitely coming.
We want to be talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have for credits, I think, for the time being.
Well, and let's not forget Chang Yi.
Well, this is what I want to. Yeah, so we're talking versions again now, right?
Yeah.
So other than, like we said earlier, there's the 20 minutes from other Joseph Koh films added onto the front, because apparently, even back then, they thought, oh, Japanese like a cute kid, so we'll put the cute kid in there. And
Two different ones.
Huh?
Two different ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we said, the bits missing to shorten it, tighten it up elsewhere, and the ninja things don't attack in that version. But yeah, so the other thing is Chang Yi appears in the Japanese cut in a scene that is not in the Hong Kong version.
Yeah, for 5 minutes.
Not even that. I'd say like a minute.
Yeah.
And it's a new scene of them doing something with the bell, isn't it?
Yeah. Chang Yi's punching the bell.
Right.
And then someone comes after him who can't get the bell to ring when he punches it, so he headbutts it and then he passes. Yeah.
But what's interesting about this, if you go over to the Hong Kong movie database, Chang Yi is credited as
the general.
Which
is wrong. Yeah.
Well, I was wondering about this. So that character is Ryok Tien's father in the flashbacks, right?
Well, is it though? Because it's a different actor.
No, but what I'm saying, the character, General Guan, that's supposed to be that character, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So I was watching that scene and back again very, very carefully. It doesn't look like Chang Yi to me. Having said that, though, he does have a big beard on, and he doesn't get a close-up on his face.
I'm not buying it.
No, I don't think it is either, but I'm just wondering how it ended up. And also, more than that, what the hell? Oh, yeah, there's two, right? There's two missing. Number one, why? I get you don't have to do anything. You just edit in footage from these other Joseph Koh films. No big deal. We can do that easily. Why did they go to the trouble, which I assume they did, or again, maybe off the cutting room floor or something? Why did they add this scene of Chang? Because I don't think Chang Yi was necessarily enough of a draw that if you put his name on the poster, more people would flock to see it at this point.
Yeah. It's a mystery actually, because according to the commentary on the Eureka anyway, this is something that was on the cutting room floor
from 18 Bronzemen.
From 18 Bronzemen.
Right.
But it's kind of tantalizing, isn't it? So
yeah.
So it's they've taken the trouble to have Chang Yi in the film, right? And I know in Taiwan, if you think about Robert Tai in Taiwan, Lu Feng's always hanging around Chang Chen. Sometimes he just puts a ninja outfit on and does a stunt, and then you never know he's in the film, right? But Chang Yi in conservatively 1975, 1976 is fucking huge. This is kind of just past the peak of the bashers, isn't it? Going into the new era, and Chang Yi's fucking massive.
This is what I was trying to figure out, though, because you're right to a certain extent, but it's before he's become Chang Yi, villain Chang Yi, right? So
of course, yeah.
So it's kind of a weird. So that's what I mean. So on the one hand, he's not famous enough to put a scene of Chang Yi, put it in the poster, but on the other hand, he's also a little bit too famous to just be in a throwaway scene.
Exactly, and that's what's tantalizing, isn't it?
Right.
Is that there's got to there must have been more scenes.
There
with
must
Chang
have,
Yi
can't just
there.
be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point of Chang Yi being in it?
So here's
'Cause
the other one
it's-
then. I don't
yeah.
know if the commentary tidied this up. So the other major kind of difference, and I suppose this is the only thing I would argue that I prefer about the Japanese cut, is the original Hong Kong cut that is not missing because it was added, and again must have been filmed for it or from a cutting, I don't know, because it's not from any of the other films. Is the scene, it starts with Kat Wong going into a chamber and
With spikes.
needles first and balls. That whole thing isn't in the other version. And then he goes into the moving spiked walls.
Yeah.
Which of course is super cool.
Yeah.
What's all that about then? Because that seems like a very elaborate scene to cut out.
Well, I think, isn't that from the Eight Masters, though? I think that's from Eight Masters. Yeah.
See, I didn't have a chance to go back and watch Eight Masters.
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Eight Masters for years.
But I think from reading...
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I get the feeling from reading the moviecensorship.com, at least, they hadn't sourced it.
Right, okay. So the arrows and the balls shooting at the walls,
yeah,
that's in the Hong Kong cut.
No.
No,
Yes, it
not
is.
a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
I-
It goes, there's a different bit with needles and stuff, but that specific needles and balls room isn't in the Hong Kong cut. That whole section, and then that moves into the spiked wall. It's not in the Hong Kong cut.
No, I watched the Hong Kong cut.
I was surprised.
I watched it yesterday, and the balls coming out the wall was definitely in the Hong Kong cut.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Darren. I don't think it is, but
Okay. No, I'm not watching it a third. Well, I don't mind watching it a third time, but I'm not watching it a third time to prove myself right or wrong.
Right. Well, let's have a look here, right? I am
the spikes aren't. The spiked wall isn't in.
No, I'm just looking at my old review of the Eight Masters. I mentioned traps and Bronzemen. I don't specifically mention a closing wall of spikes, and that's exactly the kind of thing I would have mentioned.
Okay.
So maybe not.
Okay. I'm fairly sure I am relying on Frank Jeng for that, to be fair.
Okay. Well, he would probably know more than I do, so I would
defer
if that's what he says. But anyway, it's neither here nor there, really. It's just worth noting that there are these odd little variations that they do slightly boggle now to you're not quite sure what's behind them.
Yeah, I mean, to give you the very, very superficial reason that I prefer the Japanese cut over the Hong Kong cut, although the Hong Kong cut is actually longer in terms of minutes, the Japanese cut has got more Shaolin stuff in it. Because it's lifted from...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, the stuff from Blazing Temple and
Blazing Temple, Eight Masters, well, not Unbeaten 28, Blazing Temple, Eight Masters. Or maybe it's from Blazing Temple, actually, the spikes. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Don't know. But it's interesting though, because I don't mind. In some ways I quite like that they give the three characters a little bit of backstory, but I don't know, it's just my experience of watching the two is one seemed a bit more split in two, and the other one just seemed of a more seamless.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. You're completely right. The Hong Kong cut goes straight into the action, straight into training, and then straight into skirmishes and in fights with Polly Shan-Quan, and then the finale. There's a lot of meandering with the Japanese cut for sure.
Right.
But in terms of action, you're not really missing anything between the two cuts, in my opinion. You're getting more Shaolin-y stuff from the Japanese cut. But in terms of just nuts and bolts fighting, it's consistent across both versions, more or less.
it's an essential classic either way. And let's defer to Nick here then, because it was him watching it for the first time. Do you feel as if you're building your wall of kung fu knowledge and classics, and do you feel as if a major stone has been, leading question, but do you feel as if a major keystone has been put in place?
Oh yeah.
Right.
No question. This was entertaining on every level, and as I said, maybe the reason why I preferred the Hong Kong cut is because there's a little more character development, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with lots of kickassery. That's awesome. But I found it more satisfying as a narrative in that version. But so the actor who plays the head monk, is he in? He must be in more than one film then, playing the same role, because it seems like it's the same guy.
Yeah,
in some of the scenes with the little kids.
That's how they could get away with it. Yeah,
I wondered that it made it seem a bit more seamless than it might have seemed otherwise.
To be fair, just to put a cap on it, I would say, I mean, because we were looking at it specifically for this version, and it had been, because I didn't know that before the Eureka film. I didn't know that there was a different version. So we're putting it under the magnifying glass. I would never have guessed that was from a different film. No. Like when I first saw this film, I had no idea that had occurred to me. This was cut and paste from other bits and pieces. It's
I have another question for the both of you, and that's when I was reading about this, they mentioned that there was a British release that had a happy ending.
What, do they jerk off Yuan to death?
That's what I assume is what they meant. No, I mean, so did they just chop off, or did they leave it like? Did they? Because I mean, I'm thinking like they have Carter Wong like across his back. Was he just dubbed in talking? As though he was just
put me down. Like in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I'm not dead.
I must have that version. If it came out on DVD, I've got that, but I didn't put it on for this one.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It was something that was mentioned in when I was reading, but
they could have dubbed in him saying, "Thank God the abbot gave me that golden trinket thing." Oh no, he's not going to watch it now, is he?
Real time. Anyway, yeah, no, it definitely showed up in my reading about it. They said that when it was originally released in England, cuts were made to give it a happy ending or a happier end.
While Darren's being strange, allow me 2-3 minutes. I'm going to take a slash, and then you.
All right, and then we'll be back with.
Oh, hang on, has he disappeared now?
Well, apparently he has. Yes, he's gone off to take a. I might
go.
Well,
I have got the DVD of the UK DVD, but I'm going to have a piss as well. So
okay, perfect. Well, let's take this as
a lot of you.
Yep.
Move on.
Yeah, sorry. I exited to get my copy of 18 Bronzemen on DVD.
Right.
Just to check the running time, which is not listed on the packet.
No,
never mind.
Of them furiously beating off Yuan on the.
Although I will say, it probably is the Japanese cut because Chang-Yi's in the credits on the front of the box. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking more of the VHS. I suspect it's the VHS release. That would have been whatever was the theatrical release is the claim. The theatrical release in England was a chopped up version of the film, and then that would have also been the pan and scan or like first VHS release in England as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Irish release swapped out Chang-Yi for Jimmy Cricket.
Ah, okay.
Kicked in the bell with his hat. And
which was
the camera and saying, "And there's more," and then he hit it more.
Well, it was a bit of a missed opportunity for Britain, really, wasn't it? Because in an unmade British version, a fantasy British version, it could have been Bob Carroll's and Spit the dog grabbing the sword.
Yes.
And then grab the sword.
There we go. Add that one to our roster of unmade films should we become independently wealthy.
Yes, there we are.
Right.
Okay, so
Return of the 18 Bronze Men
BRONZEMEN, yes.
from 1970. You seem very
I quite
keen,
like
Nick,
this.
so you may do the introduction and plot synopsis.
I quite like this. Because what the fuck is this? Really, in a way? Like, who is the hero? There isn't one. Carter Wong is furious again. But yeah, he's a dick. And he's our main character.
Well, he's a dick,
it
and then
also
he's
has-
not, and then he is again.
he's kind of a dick the whole time. And then it has an amazing ending. But just and you're like, this feels like it was setting up a sequel that didn't happen.
That's
very,
how
very
I felt.
strongly,
Yeah.
very
With
strongly.
fucking- Sorry, a sequel with a fucking flying guillotine in it, by the way.
Oh, that's what the secret weapon is. Okay, I was wondering. I thought maybe it was like some kind of like firearms base, but that.
No. In the subtitles that I watched, which is the new Eureka,
Okay.
the secret weapon is a flying guillotine.
So
Shit.
what do we know in terms of, was it actually set up to have a sequel as it feels, or?
It has to have been. It's madness if it wasn't part one of a two parts that didn't happen. But I love the fact that it doesn't as well. I love that it's so abrupt and weird and awkward.
The only thing I was trying to figure out, and I couldn't really figure out who he was supposed to be, was if Carter Wong's character is very heavily based on a well-known historical character, was it just like an attempt at, like some of the Shinobi no Mono films in Japan take certain lacuna in Japanese history and then like make up a speculative bit.
Right.
I was wondering, was this like this notoriously horrible Qing villain who this is the backstory as to why he ended up like that, and was there that? Maybe that's the only other thing I could think of, because then it would make sense, because you wouldn't need, because a local audience would it's like an ellipsis, right? That's why he went on to that notorious Sakura. Yeah, I was wondering if that was the only other potential.
Is he the fellow who burned down Shaolin Temple?
No, wasn't Shaolin Temple burnt down earlier and then rebuilt, though? I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. But I just that's another possibility. That's the only thing that made sense to me. Is either they didn't make a sequel, or it was like a bit of speculative historical fiction.
Yeah, that does kind of make sense, because it kind of the end of if you're Chinese and you know Chinese history, then it's kind of like this is the prequel to all the flying guillotine stuff. That when did the flying guillotine come out? 75? 74? Yeah. So it could have been riding on the back of that, and it could have been so this is where the flying guillotines came from. That could be the. But
like it would be the equivalent of, I don't know, if you made like the early days of Hitler or something, right? And then just the final few scenes is him going Jews or something like that, and then
exactly,
you don't need to show it because everyone knows.
Although it would have made a bit more sense had you kept the character anonymous, and then it could be a big reveal at the end,
right?
So,
but
yes, I'm the fourth prince actually, and I'm gonna make some flying guillotines, and oh my god, it's the fourth prince,
But anyway, to your point, Nick, it does say a lot for its strengths, that the fact that it does have a proper ending, that it's still quite a lot of fun to watch, right? So do you want to take it away with the plot?
Sure. I mean, so basically, Carter Wong, I mean, it brings back a lot of the cast, right? Although Carter Wong kind of takes center stage here, right? As what is he, the fourth prince?
Yeah.
That is okay. So he's the fourth prince. He engineers basically a coup of sorts, right? There's the old emperor has died and has made a will, and some crafty like kanji writing amends the will so that he's named the heir.
Not
And then
that
he
crafty. That's me. It looks pretty easy.
Yeah. He adds 2 lines. Yeah. And
Oh,
then
I'm guessing is it maybe like a, is it like a unusual reading? Because to me it looked like it the way we would read that now would be ko. It looked like child, right? But it didn't look like any way to read for that I would know. So I'm wondering if it's like a,
or was it just, did he change it to not? Like, did it say like, I named this guy, you know, my heir, but like he just changed it like, I do not
brackets
name this
not.
guy. And then he was left to, well, he must mean the other guy then. So yeah, so he becomes emperor. But in the process, actually, the guy who's reading the will out loud has intimate knowledge of, I guess he was involved in making the will, so he recognizes this is not real, but then he's immediately assassinated. And then, you know, Carter Wong blames is he his actual brother, or, I mean, they're the sons of different concubines? I don't know.
I don't know, but it's the 14th prince, the one who was mentioned to be the, as played by Mark Chameleon Long, right? Yes. Again, I still didn't fucking notice him. Every single time Mark Long is in the film, I never spotted.
No, I was looking out for Mark Long because I checked the credits before I watched it, and I would never have known that was Mark Long if I didn't.
And the weird thing is, though, if you see him in the film, he has a very distinctive face. Like he's got a very, very. It's not like an everyman face, so you'd think, why is he so hard to fucking spot every time? But he is.
Yeah,
he's the Gary Oldman of 1970s Chinese cinema.
Yes.
But anyhow, so he then gets accused of engineering this assassination, and then he's going to get killed. But then a bunch of ministers beg for him, like they beg Carter Wong not to have him killed. So I don't really know what came of that. Like I lost the thread. Did they ever come back to that? No, he just,
not really. The film doesn't really give a shit about it after a while because
no, but this is a big deal in terms of Chinese history. So this is like the illegitimate emperor. So this is apparently a historic.
Okay.
Right, which is what ties into my theory about the ending as well, right? That
they don't have to spell it out.
Yeah. So that was a real person who apparently doctored the will, who became emperor, and there were always questions about his reign.
Okay.
And that's probably the reason for all the courtroom stuff at the start, to situate him.
And so another question is what happens right after this a flashback? Like, so at this point, then he's told, oh, the Shaolin were up in arms, they're not happy about this, and then suddenly, I'm assuming that this is a flashback to his earlier life, not like he then now goes on the road and meets this girl and joins the Shaolin. Like
no,
that would make sense, Nick. But no, I think it's not a flashback. I think he does literally
does this now as the actual emperor.
Set up the main thread of the story, and then basically he goes for a bit of a walk. Takes a fancy to being a Shaolin monk and becomes a fucking Shaolin monk
for an hour
for 3 years.
Yeah,
3 years, no governing.
Yeah, so that's what
country is ungoverned for 3 years.
Yeah. If that's the case, that's great. That's even better than how I had mistakenly read it.
But I was reading up about him, and he was apparently very well known for, this particular emperor was very, very well known for going out in disguise and pretending to be a commoner or a nobleman, but not the emperor, and hanging out with the people.
Okay.
So that's apparently that's a historic thing with this particular historical figure.
Worth mentioning.
So, but he probably didn't join Shaolin for 3 years, right?
Right.
The one of the choreographers, again, as before, Chan Siu Pang, again with Cliff Lock. Chan Siu Pang turns up in this one, right? He's the self-confessed wild mountain monk who tells. He's the guy who has the little 18 bronze men figurines and tells Carter Wong the story about. You get the dragon to burn.
Right.
Oh, no, that's him.
So he does meet. So they do kind of restage in a weird way with slight adjustments. The scene with Polly from the previous film. Once again, she's dressed as a boy. Once again, she's in a restaurant, but in this case, she's being bullied by some guys at the next table who are stopping her food from getting to her and just being douchebags.
That's hilarious gag, right? Yes.
And then so she gets in a fight with them, and then he intervenes, and then they have a fight, and then some Shaolin monk shows up and says, "You should really be nice to each other."
This is weird, right? This is when he turns into benevolent Carter, because
right after this,
nice to her, he also rescues that other girl who moons over him, even though she's actually going out with. So Rock 10 turns up for a little guest appearance. I thought that was going to go somewhere. That doesn't really go anywhere.
Is that her boyfriend or is that her brother?
I thought brother.
I thought brother as well. So maybe
both.
Oh, sure.
Add another layer.
So then he gets in a fight with him because he thinks, or he either is her boyfriend or he thinks, he's her boyfriend. So he gets in a fight with him and kind of gets his ass handed to him a little bit, and then this is when he gets this bee in his bonnet, like, oh shit, I need to know Shaolin Kung Fu if I'm gonna really,
because he spots the tattoos on Rock Tien's arms, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And Rock Tien is arguably the character
from previously,
the first film.
Yeah. Right.
Could be, yeah. Although he never says, "Fucking hell, you look the spitting image of a friend I used to have."
Or
this
for
golden paperweight thing that he.
And also but then his wife, right, is the one who so that doesn't quite connect because it's the same actor playing his wife from the last film.
Yeah.
No, I think we probably have overthought this a little bit.
We've thought about it more than Joseph Gore did.
So he fucks off to Shaolin Temple and they won't let him in. There's a very kind of Star Warsy Yoda, you're too old to begin the training.
Don't pollute the space, Nick. I've warned you about this.
I'm always going to do that.
Star Wars is not welcome here.
I know. So he does the thing where he kneels outside in the rain for days on end, which is borrowed from somewhere else, right?
I don't know. So many
the concept.
Yeah,
there's so many films with this in by now. I don't know where it begins really.
The first place I've seen it is Shaolin Temple.
Okay.
So that's probably the most popular use of that trope.
But who knows? There could be like a lost film from the 40s or something that did it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And so he does manage to convince them to, by virtue of his commitment, that I'm in. And then pretty quickly, the abbot notices that he knows Muslim Kung Fu. At least in the subtitles that I was reading.
Dharma fist or something. It was in mine, but yeah.
Yeah, and it sounded because I thought I heard Lama or something that sounded more Nepalese.
In the subs on the Eureka, it's Dharma fist, which identifies him as coming from a region north of China. So
again, that might tie into the historical character thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. So that identifies him as not who he says he's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have a very strict screening process at Shaolin, do they?
No, it's all babies and evil princes.
Well, having said that, again, spoilers, at the very end when they don't allow him to complete the final task because they know who he is. I'm wondering, have they known who he is the whole time, maybe?
They just let him spend 3 years there.
Yeah, because it kept him out of trouble, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think if you read it that way, then I think it turns into quite a subversive.
Yeah, what I liked about that is because at the very end,
Kung Fu film,
where they and they open the doors and all the other people from earlier, and it was almost like an episode of This Is Your Life. I thought it was going to give him a big red book.
But that's also great because it's like I love the way that the big cauldron, which we know from having seen the previous film, is the last trial of like it just like it like it mechanically just goes off to the side of the screen. He's like, nope, not for you.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think if you played the wah, 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 over that would still be appropriate. Yeah.
Yep.
One of you said earlier that you think he's a dick all the way through, but I disagree. I think almost from when he goes for a walk through till he comes out the other end of the Shaolin, he's not a particular dick. He's very overambitious and trying to take the test again and again or whatever. But you know, he's there. He's doing his training. He's eating a lot of buns.
He does eat a lot of buns, yes.
And
he eats 16 buns. 16 buns he has.
Yes.
16 of them.
And so he's almost like a different person. And then as soon as he gets out the other end, he's a twat again.
Yeah. I think, potentially, but potentially this is Joseph Quo kind of, because Joseph was always interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, he's a lot of it's formulaic, right? But Joseph Quo always does something to keep you interested. So this could actually be him just kind of flipping the script and actually saying, well, yeah, you know, if you go to Shaolin and you're the emperor and you haven't got, you know, the best interest of the people, or you know, you're not really into Buddhism, you're just into Kung Fu, then you don't get the little Bernie tattoos on you. Let that be a lesson to you. You know, so so I was kind of, I'm into the kind of stop everything at the end of the film. You know, stop everything. You're not allowed to be, you know, a proper.
No, I don't have a problem with it. It's just it surprised me on this viewing. I'd forgotten.
Same. Yeah.
What an odd kind of break from the formula it is. And then when he gets out, Paul Shong-Kwan tries to assassinate him because he's daughter of a general, and then he decides he's gonna hand the Shaolin Temple's ass to them, and then it ends. Right, we never get to see it.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning that Chang Nan of the first film was an assistant director on this one.
Oh, okay.
And directed a few little kung fu films himself around the same time as well.
So
but
to me, this
solid sequel.
This film lives and dies by the. So it feels to me that everyone was obviously excited around the BRONZEMEN, facing on the BRONZEMEN stuff and the trials, and that this film expands that right to almost the whole running. I mean, really, there's just kind of a chunk of the film at the beginning and a chunk of the end, but most of the film is training scenes and ass kicking. There's a little bit of a design change to the BRONZEMEN as well. They're a little bit more ornate. They've got a bit more kind of carving in the faces, and they're not. I quite like both versions. I like the original, where they're just round pod people, whatever the fuck they are. But this one, they're definitely more sculptural looking.
I tell you what the ones in the original look like is they look like Big Daddy dipped in bronze.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, and then there's a lot more like this. There's more inventive, in some ways, more inventive tortures and trials in this one. Good.
No, I like the whole. There's a weapon on a chain, and you've got to jump up and get the weapon, but then you've got to put the weapon back to pass the test. I like that. I like all that business, and also fair play to him. He has a nice hearing test. In the middle of this one as well, isn't it? It's like that. It's like, I don't know if any of you have had a hearing test recently, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not that different to when you go to have a hearing test.
There's a concrete bag of sand suspended above your head.
Yeah, I don't know what opticians you've been going to, but mine are fucking hardcore.
Well, first of all, why are you going to an optician for your hearing test?
That's where you get a hearing test from you.
When you go to the eye doctor to have your ears tested.
Yes. In the UK.
This is what you do in England.
I don't remember this.
No, it's not. When you were around, this was not a thing. It is now a thing.
Oh, I
if you want
see.
the hearing test.
Are these eyes, ears, nose, and throat doctors or whatever? Like it's all the cavities of the head.
No, I don't even think they're opticians.
So did all the previous ear doctors get put out of work by the opticians union or something? What
Well, no,
happened?
I think the ear doctors are there, but chronic NHS
Did an
underfunding is the
optician go through the
to-
Shaolin Temple, come out the other end and say, these fucking ear doctor rebels, I'm going to put them out of business?
Next time I go,
Ellipses.
I will check their forearms.
Yes.
I promise.
Well, no, they
Okay.
wouldn't have it, right? Because they were denied the.
Well, I'm going to check anyway.
Yeah, all right,
Hmm.
fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, I would say this doesn't. It's not quite up there. It's not the classic the original was, but it is a solid fucking sequel, I would say.
Hmm.
Any arguments?
No. As I said, I enjoy this almost as much as the first one, and in some ways, its weirdness. In some ways, I enjoyed it more just because it was so strange. It was such a unlikable protagonist. I mean, straight villain by the end. No hero to speak of, and then most of the movie is just crazy fucking training and ass kicking.
I mean, for me, if I'm bringing it back to the YCHYFUS, right? So, if you're a real kung fu head, right, you're gonna miss the massive fight at the end of this film, right? Because there's not really a massive fight at the end of this one. It's a skirmish, more or less, with Pol Shan-Kwan and Carter Wong, and then she just escapes, and then it's flying guillotine time, and then it ends. Right?
Yeah,
which is cool. But whether that satisfies your sort of dyed-in-the-wool, I'm into kung fu films and shapes and fights and training scenes, remains to be seen. But it satisfied me. I'm very happy with it.
I do like that there's like in both films there's an element of where some of the trials are just like, how much punishment can you take?
Yeah,
it's not fighting. It's just we're just going to hit you with really big sticks for a really long time.
Yeah,
and
you
then
just have to fucking
if you could stand up after we're done, you pass this level.
I did enjoy the opticians dropping the sandbag on his head over and over again. That was good.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, I did. I took a see if there's any of the loans. I took a note of a few.
If it were a setup for a sequel, I'm just wondering why it didn't happen, because clearly this was a hit series, right? I wonder what happened along the way or did it and it's lurking under another title that we haven't got around to yet.
No, we would know if Joseph Quo did a flying guillotine film.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Surely.
Well, you never know. I mean, sometimes these things.
I'm happy to be corrected.
It's one of the Joseph Quo films we haven't seen. It's got a super generic title like Fist of Anger or something like that. And the thing about a flying guillotine.
I think what's more realistic though is that if you look at films like Eight Masters, Unbeaten 28, a lot of the other stuff he was doing after this, they're very much on the same formula. So it's all corridors and gadgets and traps and bronze men. Forgetting this kind of Jack Long, Mark Long, Lee Min stuff. But anything that's not that, a lot of what's not that is in a corridor with an automaton, right? So I suspect that he didn't get the opportunity to do his sort of flying guillotine, but in the courtroom, or rather in the royal court drama kung fu film that he was probably intending, because people wanted him to make films with traps and bronze men and loads of fighting in, and that probably would have gone a different direction.
One of my favorite trials in this one is where he just has to push a finger against another guy while his back is against that wall of spikes, and they just
that's good. Yeah, but then it's no, but it's like 2 fingers and then 1 finger
and then
and 2
yeah,
fingers. Yeah.
yes.
And what they forget to
One
mention
in
is that
one
man.
in the pink, 2 in the stink.
Well, I was going to say, what they forget to
Bronze
mention is that
finger.
that finger's just gone through that guy's toilet roll, right? And while Carter Wong was outside, he heard wow wow wow, and he, oh shit.
Let's go.
Shaolin humor.
On that bombshell.